One of the most impressive features of advanced jazz musicians is the ability to hang in there even at crazy tempos. Obviously, a lot of these players have amazing chops and technique, people like Pasquale Grasso, Jimmy Bruno, Adam Rogers, for instance, but you don't necessarily need crazy chops to play these tempos. So by the end of this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways you can get into playing fast tunes without needing the chops of doom. But make sure you stay tuned to the end because I'm going to show you something that will truly unlock up-tempo playing.
Prepare ship for ludicrous speed!
Welcome back to Jazz Guitar Scrapbook. Hi if you're new to the channel. Like and subscribe if you want. I mean, what am I, a validation addict? One tune that almost always gets accelerated to ludicrous speed is Cherokee. The reason for this is simple. The melody is long notes. So sax players can end up playing the tune really fast by accident and only realising when they hit the solos that they have made a terrible mistake. In fact, the original recording is at quite a sedate tempo. It was Charlie Parker, who else, who became famous for accelerating this tune. Okay, so let's start by taking a moment to listen to these 2 great players soloing on this Barry Harris tune written on the changes of Cherokee. It's called Apache. No, not that one, Hank. Sorry. Amazing, right? Pasquale obviously has like all the chops and all the language and all the lines in the world. He can keep going and keep going and keep going and never seems to run out of gas. So I'm not going to teach that to you in a YouTube video, I'm afraid. On the other hand, Pete's approach, while masterful, is quite different. We can hear him leave a lot of space. And to me, also feels a little bit more relaxed, a little bit less kind of like driving the tempo and a little bit more like hanging back almost. And he has this sort of thing that I call the Lester Young effect, where hot tempos, fast tempos feel slower than they actually are somehow. It's kind of magic. Jim Hall, Pete's teacher, had this quality, as did Stan Getz. And while it's deceptive, we might not be able to do it like Pete, as easy as he makes it sound. I think there's a lot we can learn from him. And this is kind of what's informing this approach today. We're going to play this tune at 300 beats a minute. That's a respectable up-tempo. So the first thing is to strip the harmony to basic functions so that we don't have too much going on. Okay? This is not possible for all tunes all of the time. Giant steps, you can't really reduce it like this. If you are interested in playing that tune, check out my video on the subject. It will appear above. But this is possible for Cherokee. Cherokee is twice as long as a normal AABA tune. It's 64 bars instead of 32. This means we have more time on each section, 16 for each A, 16 for the B. It's also the case that the chords move at like half the speed of most other tunes. And this is especially clear if we do the Barry Harris thing where we cross out all the 2 chords, right? So we just have the dominants. We have 2 bars on each chord, basically. And this is going to turn out super convenient in a minute. Okay, so here's the trick. We aren't going to play the tempo. Okay, this is one weird trick time. Jazz teachers hate me. But we are instead going to play half the speed, right? Instead of 300 beats a minute, we're going to play 150 beats a minute. Now we will tap our foot or feel the pulse on 1 and 3. Set your metronome for 1 and 3 for now. Don't worry, we'll build it up. This isn't a cheat, I promise. What this will do is calm you down. This is important because we can't play a tempo like 300 beats a minute if we are too excited or emotional. I know what some of you are thinking. The 2 and the 4 swing, but we feel the pulse on 1 and 3. Maybe even just 1 at this tempo. As Barry Harris put it, the 1 and 3 are about the lower body. This is where a dancer shifts their weight. The upper body expresses the 2 and 4, and all those cool syncopations, right? This is an important message for us instrumentalists who have two left feet, like I do. Swingers grounded in the bass drum, for instance, the shift of a dancer's weight, which at this tempo is felt as two-step cut time. And this is a bit like samba, polka, klezmer, manouche jazz, and a million sort of two-step feels all over the world, right? Now, our chord progression is going to change from being a 64-bar progression with chord changes every other bar to a 32-bar chord progression with a chord change every bar at 150 beats, yeah? So that's medium tempo. Not too bad. So let's work on comping, feeling in two. Feels nice, right? Not too hard. I've put some movement in here, some passing chords, but nothing crazy. It's straightforward stuff. By the way, how much do you practice comping? It's 80% of what we do. Do we focus 80% of our practice time on it? Let's start to make up lines. We'll use chord tones, triads, fine, sevenths, why not, ninths, cool, subs, even better, but keep it simple and effortless. So if you're starting to think about any of this stuff, either practice it so you don't have to think about it or just don't do it for now. Playing chord tones at 150 should be relaxed and easy. Don't be afraid to write out some chord tone lines if you like, if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that sort of thing. Right, so now I'm going to show you this solo basically working with a metronome at 150. I'm going to go through, so basically it's all eighth notes, straight eighth notes by the way, and then I'm going to put in the backing track behind it so you can hear how it works with the backing track at 300 beats a minute. We can pop in some embellishing things if you like, approach tones, surrounds, enclosures, scales, fine, but keep it open, not too much. So listening to it on its own and then comparing to the backing track, you might say you're kind of leaning on the rhythm section to have the feel. The line of itself doesn't express the tempo. It feels like it's a straight 150. So that's a really good observation if you thought that. As I say, please watch to the end because we'll start talking about how to give more of the feel of the tempo. So now we're going to use some linking material. Scales, arpeggios, bebop scales, whatever. These are all little eighth note connections, a little burst of speed. These need to be easy to play. So for instance, I find this very easy to play. Okay, or this. Yeah, stuff like that. So it'll be different for you, right? Play stuff that falls under your fingers. If you don't have anything like this, don't worry. But 16th notes at 150 shouldn't be too crazy. You don't need Paul Gilbert chops to play this stuff, especially if you avoid anything too challenging with like string skipping and stuff or lots and lots of complicated alternate picking or whatever, right? Try to phrase them in forward motion if you can. For instance, this little enclosure figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ends up on that note. Ends up on the last note. You don't want to have that separated out, right? Another nice thing you can do is play in triplets. So for instance, I'm going 1, 2, 2, 2. So it feels almost like you're playing in 3, like a reel or a jig or something, Lage Lund does this in his solo on Limehouse Blues, and it feels super relaxed when he does that. It's a nice place to come back to. That is a bonkers tempo, by the way. and I'll show you how it sounds with me doing it with just the click and then with the backing track at full speed. Okay, so a big issue is this. If you look at the tempos being 300 beats a minute, everything we have played is on the beat, and probably mostly on 1 and 3. So we sound kind of rhythmically inactive, right? A little bit square. Those eighth note connectors help a little bit, but really we need the funk. We'll start with comping. We're going to play some 16th note anticipations in the halftime feel on the tune. So instead of going 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, we're going to go the 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2, right? If you play any rock stuff, you're probably actually doing this without thinking already. It's this kind of thing, you know. 2, 3, 4. That gives you my embarrassing dad rock interlude. But that playing ahead of the beat thing, you know, playing a 16th note ahead of the beat, is one of the things that gives rock music and jazz its energy. And if you listen to like AC/DC, for example, they do it a lot, right? Important. Make sure you don't get too excited with these syncopations. They need to be relaxed and in the pocket. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play this with the click and then put the backing track in like I have before so you can hear how it works. Right, so now we're going to do some single note improv on this. And again, same thing. We're going to use some funky rhythms in the halftime. It's actually pretty fast for a funk. You know, it's like getting up there, James Brown sort of speed. And obviously you need a rhythmic language and a vocabulary to do this, right? Which takes time. Many of the best rhythms are the ones which have lots of syncopations. One classic one is the fork, ba-da-da, which is like a 16th note followed by an 8th note followed by a 16th note. You do that as a single note. Lots of upbeats are great. If you're not used to playing these upbeats, single notes are good. But really just focus on the E and the A. So it's 1, 8. Again, don't rush this.
Stay frosty.
And this is great for playing funky generally. So if you're playing like straight eighths music, you know, Benson style stuff, you know, smooth jazz, whatever you like, it's actually exactly the same skill set as playing up-tempo bebop. It's just disguised, okay? Which I might explain why Benson was so good at the straight eighth stuff, because he was playing bebop fantastically. And that I think is going to take you a little while to get together, perhaps compared to some other bits of this video, but it's well worth it, and it will sort out your phrasing. So, little demo, put everything together. We can practice turning the dial up and down on the temperature of the music by using these techniques. So we can start off super on the beat and introduce more syncopations and connectors as we go, getting busier. The solo will build naturally, but make sure to keep your powder dry. I don't know about you, but I always underestimate how long I can just hold back. Time always seems to go slower when I play. It's like my brain slows everything down. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts and how you get on with this. I hope it helps, and I'll see you on the next one.